Hey, what's up guys? Chad here with the Reptile Rangers. Now we're at the Kernersville Reptile Zoo and Medical Center again today, and we're going to talk about common reptile problems, episode number, it's actually going to be number 9. Just happened to pay attention the other day that I got 2 number 7s. But this is going to be episode number 9, okay? Common reptile problems, episode number 9 is going to be mouth rot, or also known as ulcerative stomatitis, okay? Now, just before we get into that, right there in that bottom corner is our subscriber button. Make sure you hit that and make sure you follow along, and we appreciate you doing so week after week after week. Now let's get right into this. Okay, so we have we have a bearded dragon seeing himself in his reflection and getting mad at his reflection. All right, so what we have here is a bearded dragon. Okay, guys, so what we're going to talk about today is going to be basic, simple mouth rot, okay? Mouth rot can happen in a lot of genera of animals. It can happen in lizards and snakes most primarily. It does happen from time to time in turtles and tortoises, but not very often, okay? Now, when we start talking about ulcerative stomatitis, or mouth rot as it were, we start talking about first what causes mouth rot. Well, there's many different things that can cause mouth rot. Anything from running into cage walls, glass things over and over, pushing real hard against the walls or barriers of the enclosure, to anything from debris that goes in that creates scratches or open cavities, as it were, that would allow bacteria to get into that cavity and start creating infection, okay? So there's many different reasons why mouth rot can happen, many different ways in which it can happen. So when we see things like Chinese water dragons especially are really bad about, and iguanas are bad about charging and running into the sides of the walls, sides of the glass screen, whatever the case may be, that can create damage on the face, the side of the face, the front of the face, which can lead to secondary infection, which there in turn the infection turns into rot, okay? Now, when we start talking about things like mouth rot, prevention can be easy and also hard at the same time. I mean, you can have the biggest enclosure in the world, and if the thing still just decides all of a sudden it's going to charge and takes off right for the edge, runs into the wall, that can happen, okay? You can't always control when they're rooting or pushing in the corners, pushing at the glass, because, again, they don't understand glass, so they'll be pushing. They can't figure out why they can't get past it. They can see past it, but they can't get past it. So they try and test it. They push against it, okay? Retics are bad about that, especially if they're not in big enough enclosures. Reticulated pythons are super bad about that, and can cause mouth rot or infection, mouth infection, quite simply, okay? Now, other ways in which that can happen is scrapes from food. The nails are really hard from a frozen thawed rabbit, rat, things like that. It scratches the inside of the gum line, can create infection. Bedding material that scratches or creates some kind of an open cavity can cause that. They can scratch themselves. There's several different things that can happen. He's fixing to charge the dragon in the glass. I can feel it. So he's right there at it. Turn around here. Quit worrying about that other dragon. Yeah, there you go. Okay, so with that being said, mouth rot can happen anywhere around the mouth, okay? Now, how do we deal with mouth rot? Well, if it's bad enough, then somebody like us or a veterinary practice or something like that is absolutely going to have to see it, okay? Just to at least get the helping hand. If it's just starting, there's a little bit of surface scratch, or there's a little bit of a scabby area, infected area, then you can certainly try taking care of that yourself. It's not really complicated to do. And as a matter of fact, most of the time, drugs is not necessary unless the infection is super bad and it got way inside the head. All right, so one of the things that we might do is just simply find the infected area along the mouth, open up the gum line, or open up the lips to get to the gum line as well, and take and just kind of clean that out. We'll take maybe a Q-tip with a little bit of peroxide on it, or betadine. You can do that. If you're going to do peroxide, you want to try and hold him kind of sideways so the peroxide goes out, not down his throat. And you can just run that over because it acts like an antiseptic. It starts killing out the infection. And then you can just run a little bit of Neosporin on there. You want to do that just a few times a day. Usually within about 10 days, it's perfectly healed up, okay? So again, dealing with mouth rot is super easy. It's really, really an easy thing. Most of the time when people have big issues with mouth rot, it's because they've let that little area of infection go for so long that it's gotten worse and worse and worse. And so then it becomes more difficult to treat. It becomes a longer process to treat instead of just taking care of it right out of the gate. Okay, so if you see debris inside of the mouth, go ahead and help them remove that, because if it sits there long enough, it will create bacteria which will invade the tissue and the gum line and the lip area of the snake or the lizard. All right, now, I know this is kind of an overview, and hopefully this has been somewhat helpful to kind of show you what to look out for. You've seen pictures here of different types of mouth rot. And so you've seen kind of some of the things to look out for. We've told you a little bit about what to do. Don't go prying into the mouths. Don't go doing that kind of stuff. I mean, if you think that you have mouth rot and it's not something that's superficial right on the outside or just to the inside of the lips that you can't take care of easily just with a little bit of betadine neosporin for a few days and take care of it, then absolutely go seek medical professional help for that. But again, a lot of the times they're going to want to prescribe drugs, and it's absolutely not necessary. It's just more money they can charge you. That's kind of the biggest thing. It's kind of the downside to to this is they can do it and get away with it. It's not right. It really is not right at all. But unfortunately, you got no other options other than hopefully you can catch it early enough and just be able to deal with it yourself before it comes to that point, okay? Now, this is Chad. We are the Reptile Rangers here at the Kernersville Reptile Zoo and Medical Center. We appreciate you coming along week after week after week. And make sure to hit the subscribe button, the like button, the bell for notifications. Make sure to check out the TikTok channel entitled Reptile Rangers, the Instagram page entitled Kernersville Reptile Zoo. Feel free to come check us out here at the zoo. We have the storefront as well with all kinds of dry goods, pets for sale all the time, food, and all that good stuff. Or check out the zoo itself. All right? Now, again, we hope you've enjoyed this. We appreciate you coming along, following along week after week after week. We'll either see you here at the zoo or we'll see you on the next episode. Later.